Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this April 14th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. Glad that you are here with us today. If you want to find our content, go to eoa.network, type that into the browser bar, and it'll come up with a link tree that shows you the location of all of the places where our content is distributed. Facebook, our website, our Instagram, our Roku channel, and so on and so forth. So glad you're here with us. Here in a little bit, we are going to have Margaret Spence, who is the librarian at the middle school, right? Uh-huh. Yeah, and she has brought some students. They recently were in a competition called Battle of the Books, and she's got a couple of students. It'll be a great conversation. So, how are you, man?
Morning.
Doing all right?
Barely awake today.
Wake up, man.
Yeah, I got too much work done last night, so I didn't have to get up as early.
Yeah. You were talking about there's a guy like halfway through Japanese.
He's not quite halfway. He's like 20 some odd. It's the third longest, I think, in history.
Yeah.
I think one guy got like 20, like mid 20s.
Yeah.
Or high 20s, but he's got a long way to go to get 74 is the record.
Yeah.
74 wins in a row on Jeopardy's a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They do film more than one a day. They film 5 in one day.
Yeah.
And they change outfits. It's kind of fun. Well, I mean, I guess
Right,
they would have
yeah,
to.
yeah.
You couldn't wear the same
Well,
shirt.
you got like a half hour of taping, or less than that, if you do the commercials and stuff, So,
Yeah.
did you watch any of the after interviews for the Artemis landing?
Not really. I saw a couple quick little things, but
Yeah.
I'm only interested in the pictures, really.
Yeah.
So, because that was a federal. The raw files are going to be presented to the public and downloadable.
Yeah.
So you can play around with them.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because it's publicly funded.
Right. No, it's funny because years ago, so this is like 30 years ago, I was working. So I have an acquaintance. There's an astronaut. His name is Rick Heeb. He graduated from Northwest Nazarene also, and I had known him. Anyhow, so fast forward a few years of my life, and I needed some pictures, some space pictures, and at the time he was at NASA, and I wrote him, and he sent me a whole bunch of stuff. But that was one of the questions I had: is like, are there any rights to this? And like,
no, it's all public.
Yeah, it's all public domain.
And they actually have to make it available.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They have a website where you can go and just download everything.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's our dollars paying for it.
Well, and he sent me, before this last mission, there was really only one picture of the entire Earth, and we used, and they duplicated that shot.
The marble picture?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it's called.
Right, and I remember he sent that to me on a negative that was like a 4x5. A 4x5 transparency is like, that's just crazy. So
is that the picture you're talking about? The marble?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was shot at night. Or no, the new one was shot at night.
Yeah.
The one that they compared it to from Artemis.
Yeah.
Was 51,000 ISO at nighttime.
Wow.
And it's comparable in quality to one that was shot in the day with an old camera on what was it? Did they use 35 millimeter or did they use 70?
No, they probably used a larger format.
Yeah, it had to have been bigger.
Yeah. So
it's wild.
Anyhow, all right. Well, hey, you want to do sports?
I'll do it. Let's do it. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit in LeGrand. No Loyalty is this chaotic, laugh-out-loud party game where teams shuffle around, alliances are temporary, and only one player walks away with 5 tokens and ultimate bragging rights. Flip team up, complete the challenge, and betray again next round, only at Hobby Habit in LeGrand. No Loyalty. LHS softball split at Lewiston last Thursday. They won the first game 8-7, and then unfortunately dropped the second one 15-5. The ladies are currently 4-6 and go to Vail today to take on the Vikings at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and then they turn around and open their GOL season this Thursday versus the Bulldogs in Baker. Those games start at 2 and 4 p.m. LHS baseball dropped a tough one at home to Lewiston 14-5 on Friday night. They are currently 1-7-1, which is, I'm sure, not the start that Parker wants for this baseball team. They opened their GOL season on Friday in Baker as well with 2 and 4 p.m. games with the Bulldogs. LHS boys and girls tennis head over Cabbage to take on the Bucks today at 3 p.m. while the boys golf team next match is a week from Friday at LeGrand Country Club. It's a home match for them at a time to be determined, and the girls go to Baker next Monday with a 12 p.m. tee time in the Baker Invite. LHS Track and Field hosted the LeGrand Invite this past Saturday. What a great day it was. The Tigers celebrated their seniors, as you see there. There's obviously too many events to list and give you all the finishers, but you can go to athletic.net and search LeGrand High School and find all of those. It ended up being a really nice day. There was a couple times where, you thought it might rain, but I had the camera out and was bouncing around and just trying to get as many pictures as possible. Track meets are weird because there's a lot of things going on at a lot of different places. EOU softball dropped the first game at home versus UBC this weekend, but went on to win the next 3 to win the overall and conference series versus the Birds. EOU senior Hope Burke had another huge weekend at the plate and was named the CCC Player of the Week. EOU baseball dropped their first 2 on Saturday down at Optimist to LCSC. Sunday's games were rained out and postponed till April 21st at 1 p.m. down at Optimist. EOU women's lacrosse, they won their first 2 games of the season, which were basically their last 2 games in history. They beat NNU 22-0 and University of Washington Club 15-9. They were the only wins of the year and probably the only, the last 2 wins ever at EOU for women's lacrosse, as EOU decided to cut the sport earlier in the year at the end of the 2026 season. But way to go out with a bang, ladies. EOU track and field was at NNU this weekend. Senior Mark Church was named the CCC Field Athlete of the Week, winning the hammer throw and hitting a B standard with the 8th farthest throw in the country this year in the NAIA. Church also placed 5th in the shot and 4th in the discus. The CCC championships for the multi-events are this Thursday and Friday at 10 o'clock in Ashland. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
All right, good stuff, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look outside the weather cam.
Man, it feels gloomy in here, but it doesn't look gloomy out there.
No, it looks like it's going to be clear today.
Maybe that's my brain that's gloomy right now.
I'm thinking so.
I don't smack myself to wake me up.
Man, it rained so much over the weekend. I mean, it just was just a soaker.
Man, I'm surprised that roof didn't. I was kind of surprised. Man.
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's look at the weather forecast there. So 58 today, 41 tonight, and looks like it's in the 50s.
It's going to rain.
Yeah.
55% chance. Is that 55?
Is that today?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it drops down, or 61. That's hard to see. Oh, I can see it on my
61,
computer.
70. Yeah. So it's not going to really dry up until the weekend, right?
Right.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So.
A little snow late. What? It's still snowing out there?
Where's that at?
On Wednesday. It says a little snow.
Little snow up to an inch tomorrow. Wouldn't that just be crazy?
The mountains could probably, the snowpack needs it.
Yeah, well, because tomorrow night it's going to be below freezing. So, yeah. So, yeah, Tanya made a little, she planted a garden. She hasn't planted a garden forever, and she's made a little greenhouse over it, whole 9 yards.
You're going to need that right now.
Yeah, well, and that was the whole point. It's like she knew it was going to freeze, and so she didn't want it to freeze her stuff. So, all right. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Margaret and the students talking about the Oregon Battle of the Books.
Look at group.
All right, we are back with Margaret and the girls. Yeah, glad that you guys are here with us. Margaret,
you.
please introduce us to your students. Please.
Sounds good. So these are two of my 5 kids that were in OBOB, Oregon Battle of the Books. So this is Annalise Levitt, and then this is Brooke Smith.
Okay.
Both 7th graders from the middle school.
Oh, all right, cool. And Margaret Spence.
Yep.
Yeah, so we know your husband very well, Stu.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right, yeah, yeah. And I actually knew you before I knew Stu.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, because we were in theater together and stuff. So, yeah, and so good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
and
to have you.
glad that you're here.
Thanks for having
Glad that
us.
you're here with us. So tell me, what is it that you do, Margaret?
So I am the middle school librarian, and so I get to hang out with middle school kids all day, and I absolutely love it. I've been kind of worked all throughout the district over the past 10 years, and I found a home last January at the middle school, and just have really enjoyed getting to have fun with kids in the library, recommend books, start clubs, start OBOB back up, and so it's just kind of been a real blessing for me and hopefully for the kids.
Yeah. So what does a librarian do at a middle school?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everything that you can think of.
Well, I mean,
besides just checking out books,
Yeah.
I actually get a lot of kids that come in ask me to buy books, look for books, so I help them with that. But I also have every 6th grade class, so there's 7 of them, once a week. So I actually have classes, and then 7th and 8th grade I see once a month. And so I do little lessons, and then they check out. But I also like to do fun things. So last year with these 2 classes, I got to do like a blanket fort. So I had them take all the tables and make a huge fort, and I read to them underneath there. I've done different challenges in the library, and right now we're currently reading a book, like a continuous book that they don't really always get to do in the elementary school level because they're so quick in those, trying to get them all the kids checked out. And then I have challenges for what homeroom class checks out the most books to try to encourage readers. And then I've just started up a whole bunch of different clubs that kids have asked me to start, and just kind of go from there. So, and then I've, this year currently, I brought back a yearbook. So I've been working on the yearbook as a librarian and getting kids ready for state testing and all that fun stuff. And also just have fun with the kids.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, and because when I was a kid in school, which was a long time ago, library was a place. It wasn't necessarily a class.
Correct.
And is that kind of how? Is it a class? So then
it's kind of both. So
Yeah.
I was the same way. I don't even remember like where my library was in middle school.
Right.
Like I don't remember ever going there. I don't remember it going as a class. So the classes that come to me during the week, it's during their English, their ELA time.
Okay.
So it's kind of part of their curriculum in a way.
Yeah.
They have to get so many books. 7th and 8th grade, they have to get something that's called AR points. So they have to be reading, and then they take a test on a book. And so when they come, it's a little bit different. It's a shorter time. But it's a class, but I'm not necessarily teaching them like how to read or doing small groups. It's more of a come, let's do a fun activity in the library to encourage you to read, and then check out.
Yeah.
And then I like to kind of be the hub of the school. So I like kids that come in. So I have kids that come in all day, every day. So they're coming in, checking out books. I've kind of made it an environment that is relaxing and open, so that way kids can come in. Sometimes they come in during class and read because it's a quiet place.
Yeah.
Or they come in and do homework, or they come in, we have like our WCTV, so our filming crew for kids, and so they come in and film a lot of videos in the library and just try to be open so kids can come in, look for books, or come in and ask for recommendations and that kind of thing. But there definitely is the classes, even though it's not like, this is how you read. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So tell me about Battle of the Books and how you became aware of it and kind of our history, LeGrand's history.
Yeah. So Oregon Battle of the Books started back in 2003. It's a volunteer-based club organization. And what it is there's a list of book recommendations, and there's 16 of them. And so you get that recommendation list, and then you have the kids read it. But how we started was before COVID, long before COVID, the middle school had a team, but the parents kind of led it. And then it kind of switched over to the public library. And so then they were doing it. And then when COVID happened, it just went away. It's a lot of, it's a lot of time commitment for the students and the parent volunteers. But before I was a librarian at the middle school, when I worked at Island City, Rachel Robinson brought OBOB to Island City Middle School. And so I got to watch that. And Brooke was one of them. She's my only student who has done OBOB before. And I just saw how fun it was. Mrs. Robinson really made it fun and lively. And I was like, I want to do that when I get to the middle school. And then Central also has OBOB. And so those students were also getting it. And then I just saw that there was a need for something like that to continue on at the middle school, and kids were, excited about it. So we hadn't had a team probably in 7 or 8 years. From what I have understood from OBOB's organization, we've never had a team go to state. And so we were excited to even start that possibility. So when I got hired in January, I had talked to my principal, Mr. Wagner, about starting up OBOB again this year, and he was very, very supportive. And the district, Mr. Mendoza, everybody was very supportive of, yes, let's get that going because there is a need. So then when the 5th grade students last year came for an open house, I started talking about, hey, I'm going to start up OBOB. When they were in 6th grade last year, at the end of the year, I was like, I'm going to start OBOB back up, and I really hit my targeted reader. So Annalise is a very strong reader who's always constantly in the library getting books. Brooke was always getting books. She had already done it, so she already knew a little bit about it. And then in September, as soon as school started, I started advertising for it and got about 23 students who said, I'll do that. I'll go ahead and give that a shot, and then you start dwindling it down. But, there's 16 books, so it's a real commitment. We met every single week before school on Mondays for 45 minutes, and so they, and these two can touch base on that aspect of it, but it really was a commitment of saying, okay, you're going to commit to this. And, before we start making teams, at first it was just the middle school team. And so before I started dwindling and making teams, I was like, I need you to make sure you're committed, because it is, some of the older kids were like, what are we getting ourselves into?
Right.
Whereas the incoming 6th graders were excited because they had it. And then this year also Greenwood Elementary School started an OBOB team as well. And so now all 3 elementary schools have one, and it will funnel into the middle school for next year. So,
well, cool.
yeah.
So Brooke, kind of tell me what happens in a competition. I mean, what happens when you're there and you're actually competing? How does that work?
You sit with members of your team, and they'll start by asking you in which book questions, and they'll say, like, in which book does this happen? And you have 15 seconds, and you'll discuss as a team. And then you have a spokesperson who will say the title of the book and the author that you think it is in, and then they'll either tell you that it's correct for 5 points, partially correct for 3 points, or incorrect for 0 points, and then they'll switch to the other team, and then the other team will get asked an in which book question, and once you go through 8 of those, then they go to the content questions, and then they'll be like, in this book, what color of dress are they wearing, or what is the name of the best friend? And then they'll ask you specificer questions.
Wow.
And would you say that in which book or the content questions are harder?
The content questions are way harder.
How come?
Because they're just the details. The in which book questions are more broad. If you kind of know the plot of the story, you can usually figure it out. But the content questions, you have to know it.
Huh.
Yep.
Well, and Annalise, what is kind of your favorite part of that? I mean, do you have a section of questions that are your favorite?
I really like the in which book because, they're a little easier, but also they're a lot easier because you've just read the book and you just really know the main plot.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't take a lot of studying to answer those questions.
So out of our 5 girls, I think that we had 2 that read all 16 books. Is that right?
I think
you
so,
and
yeah.
Lucy. And so the other ones, I think each read about 7. So then that way they're completely covered, so you can have 4 girls or 4 kids in the battle and one is an alternate. So they rotate in throughout the different battles. And so then that way you really want it to be where everyone in that battle has a good understanding of all the books. So, and you're battling up against 2, your team against one other team at a time. And so you don't want to be very loud when you're whispering,
yeah.
right, about your answer, because then the other team could possibly hear you. So
But is the other team getting a different question than what you got?
Yes, they ask you different questions at the beginning. After like the break in the middle of the day, then they start doing steal. So if you get a question incorrect, the other team gets a chance to steal it, but then they still get their next question. So you're guaranteed questions, but the other team could gain points if you mess up.
So what was fun was out of like the 23, 24 kids I had in September, then about, what was it, November, we started dwindling down to get them into teams. So do you guys remember how I did that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had pancakes that day, and then the plate that she gave us your pancake on was a color, and then you had to go sit with the people that had the same colored plate as you.
And that was your team.
Yeah.
And it was not random. I knew like which kid was going to be on which team.
Yeah.
But I tried to make it, because it is the middle school team, it wasn't just all 6th graders, all 7th graders, all 8th graders. It was a mixture of the levels. Also the levels of who knew the books and all that kind of stuff. So that was like November. And then after that, they just studied. And then what was it? January or February, we did a battle at school
Yeah.
to get our,
Top
Like, yeah,
middle
the-
school team.
yep,
Who's gonna go to
Yep.
regionals? Yeah.
who was going to go to regionals. So, and then what did we do at regionals?
Well, we went to Baker, and then we like met up with a bunch of the other teams, and they had us go into separate rooms and then like ask questions. And it wasn't as big as a state battle, but it was like a miniature version of it, and I'd say it was pretty easy. Like the questions were stuff that we all knew, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So how many teams were in regionals?
6. There were 6 other teams.
Yeah.
So that also made it easier because it was less teams that you had to compete against.
Right.
Well, and one of the things is you have to know the book title and the author. That is a given. Like that is the first thing I drilled into their heads of you better know the title and the author, because if you say the title wrong or the author wrong,
You get
get-
partial points.
Yep.
And most of the kids there couldn't even remember the author or like the right title of the book.
And so these girls kept saying, "Oh, that was easy," and I said, "Well, it's not going to be easy in state. Like state, they'll know. Everyone else is going to know. It's just like any sports. You know,
Right.
you go to state and you're going up against the best of the best."
Yeah.
And so, but Baker was great. They were super gracious and the hosting of it, and the teams were really friendly there and
Yeah.
super nice. And so, and then that was kind of oh no, we made it. Now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You know, it was. Regionals was March 7th, and so we had really about a month to plan it. And so that was where it was, okay, I need to go and see if we can get donors and that kind of stuff. And because there's no funding for OBOB, you know, it was new at the middle school, and so it wasn't something that we're like, okay, we're going to plan on this. And, so luckily I was able to get some really gracious donors.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's give a shout out to.
Yeah.
So tell me.
So who have you guys
tell
started
us-
writing?
Yeah.
The Optimist Club,
Uh-huh.
McDonald's,
Yep.
the Rotary Club,
Yep.
the Lions Club.
Yep.
I don't remember.
Yep. Do you remember any of
No.
that? The city donated the van for us to use. That was fun. It was a 15-passenger van.
For the 7 of us.
Yep. Yep. The school district has just been very, very, very supportive. But like she said, Optimist, Rotary, the Lions Club, McDonald's. I've had some people who have just graciously donated themselves as well, have given us some money. And so it's been a really humbling experience for me to be able to go and say, hey, can you help us fund this and pay for it? And it's been really great to see the community kind of say, yes, we want this to continue. This is educational and this is a good thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and a shout out to my local Rotary, because
Yes.
it was kind of a fun, I'm a part of that group.
Yes.
And you and I had been talking about
Yes.
this.
Yep.
And you coming on the show eventually.
Yeah.
And then at one of the Rotary lunches, one of our members said, hey, they're getting ready to go to state and they need some funds.
Yep.
And right there on the spot, the group took action.
Yeah.
And yeah. So.
Yeah, you guys were the first ones to be like, yep, and it was very unexpected and very appreciated. And
Yeah.
so we have it made it possible for us to do so much more than just go to state. So I wanted it to be where this was an experience for the kids, And high school is just so expensive, the sports, all of that kind of stuff. And so I wanted it to be where there wasn't a financial burden on the kids, on the parents. And so we were able, because of your guys' support and all the other donations, we were really able to go and experience a true, like, kind of like a vacation, right? Like, it was like a vacation for them. And so it made it possible. So thank you. And thank you to all of the sponsors, because it really couldn't have been done without them.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been a lot different. There might have been some families who would have been like, oh, I don't know if we can go, or it just would have been a lot different. And
Right.
so it really was a magical time. You know, it was just something
Yeah.
that I'm hoping that they will remember the rest of their lives. And so do you guys want to tell them kind of where we stayed?
So we
Oh, yeah.
stayed at a 1910 schoolhouse Airbnb, and they had like the old desks and like an old chalkboard, and they had like a player piano and an organ and like a bunch of old like artifacts and like pictures and stuff from like the original schoolhouse. So there were just like things all along the hallways that were like things about it.
And, like the gym.
Yeah.
They had a gigantic like a wooden floored gym with like a bunch of like volleyballs, basketballs and stuff, and a volleyball net. So, and like badminton, rollerblading, like it was crazy. Like we had to sleep in there one night, and it got really, really, really cold. But like it was probably
I'm sorry, did you say you had to sleep in there?
We
pretty
chose-
much, yeah.
I want to go back to you. What?
We chose to sleep
Thank
in
you.
there. But yeah.
There was no insulation
There was
in the
no
gym.
insulation, and we found out one of the windows had a hole in it after the last night,
Yeah.
and it was
Well, and
pretty
I
cool,
also
but
thought
it
that
was
they would have
fun.
turned on the Airbnb owners would have turned on the heat before we went. They didn't, and so in the morning when we woke up, it was 59 degrees in the house. But
At
they
the gym.
did choose to sleep in the gym. I did not force them to sleep in the gym. But it was one of those old, kind of like the old annex, you know, so it had like the big, rounded, yeah. But like, because of your guys' sponsorship and, you know, all those, the donors and stuff like that, we made it possible that we could go for 2 nights and really
Yeah.
kind of take our time getting there and just spend time and enjoy it.
And where was it stayed at? Where was stayed at?
It was in Salem.
Salem. Okay.
Yep, and we stayed in Dallas, so it was about a half an hour
Yeah.
drive, but beautiful. Like, it was a really cool old schoolhouse and super fun. So
That's
yeah.
I used to live in Dallas.
Yeah, it's a really
For 10
like
years.
cute area. Like,
My kids lived there.
yeah. If I had had more time, we would have gone to the beach, because I didn't realize we were only like 40 minutes away from
We
Lincoln
were
City.
40. What?
Yeah. Didn't tell you guys. We did an escape room though, guys.
Well, and you know, I mean, and half the fun of going on a trip
Yeah.
like that is that.
Yes.
It's experiencing something different
Yes.
than what you normally would. Yeah.
Yep, we did. We definitely took our time getting there. We left early in the morning on Friday and made some stops.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
left at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday.
Another day to sleep in, but nope.
Yeah.
Yep, and then what did we do?
Well, you know, we drove like 5 hours, but we
Yeah.
also like stopped and got pizza, and then we, like when we arrived in Salem, we went to the Bauman's farm and like the outlet mall, which was really fun.
Yep. And then we got to the house at night. It was like 7:30. They were all getting excited, ready to go to bed and everything else. And I pulled out a big old Jeopardy board and said, "Oh no, we're studying." We have these old desks. We're studying. We had 40 Jeopardy questions. So going back to our Jeopardy thing this morning,
Yeah.
they are not in the run for the longest,
Yeah.
74 days. But yeah,
So now your crew now, is it all girls?
it is.
Okay.
Yep.
But guys can be a part of it?
Oh yeah, we had. So this team that went is kind of a collection of the teams.
Yeah, and Bennett, show us some pictures as she's talking.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So we had, out of the 23, 24 kids, I think only 2 are original to this team.
Yeah.
Lucy and Estelle. And so we had boys. Brooke was on a team with
Yeah.
2. And Annalise, you had 2.
I had to, yeah.
And then what happened was a couple of the kids from Lucy and Estelle's team they either went online or they just were like, oh, this is too much. And so then they stole Annalise, and then as it got closer to regionals, they stole Brooke. And so to make that strong team, because
Yeah.
you do want to make a strong team to be able to, you know, go to state and everything.
And then
But
Elizabeth joined later, right?
yep, and Elizabeth joined halfway through because one of our girls had to leave as well. And so, but we had the last couple competing teams were boys and girls, and it just happened that the girls beat
Yeah.
them out. So, and they were serious. They were like, we're coming in. This team, I can't even thank them enough for the experience they gave me, and it's going to be hard for them to beat my expectations of any teams going forward, because they were giving up their lunch to come in to the library, so they ate in the library multiple times a week.
Every day for
Yeah.
2 months.
Yep. They came in before school multiple days, not just on Mondays. They came in after school during advisory. I got to say, a big shout out, thank you to the advisory teachers and my principal and assistant principal who just allowed the girls to miss advisory to come study. And, it's hard because I would say all of the girls have other things that they do after school. They're either in track, or they were in basketball, or they were in volleyball, and then a lot of them are in music or church or youth groups. And so there is so much more going on. All of them are in like the accelerated English classes. And so they have so much more homework, and they gave up so much of their own time to come practice and grill each other with questions, and their parents were at home grilling them with questions. And the parent support has been amazing too, because every single kid had parents who showed up to state and was there for them. And just, it's been such a humbling experience for me of just being like, oh wow, we have all of the support,
Right, yeah.
and it's been between sponsors and my principals and the superintendent and the families and the other coworkers in my building. They have been cheering these girls on too and saying good luck. And so it's been a very humbling experience for the first year, just being like, oh my gosh. And the public library has been very, Carrie's been calling me and, okay, how are you going to do?
Yeah.
And so it's been great. But yeah, they definitely sacrificed a lot of their time. I think that they wanted to have a book ban or burning party after state. I was like, you are not touching those books.
Yeah.
But
It would have been so awesome.
it would have heated you up, huh?
Yeah, and we would have done it in the gym
Yep.
with our face masks. That would
Yep.
have been awesome.
So then state, that was a lot of fun. We got there, and how many teams were there that we were going up against?
21, I think. Yeah, there were a lot of teams. They were all really good.
Yeah. Some of the teams are they're like the talented and gifted, so tag schools that are in the Portland area. You have to apply to get in, and those were some of the ones that we were going up against, and it was like, oh, okay. But
Yeah.
we held our own, and so that was what was exciting.
Yeah.
We definitely held our own. And so you guys want to talk a little bit about the state day, like what happened and like who did we meet? And
So we showed up and we got there and we had to like sign in and stuff, and then we like went to the auditorium and they introduced our team, and we like stood up and like held up a banner that said LMS Project Winners, because that's our team name on it.
why is it our team name?
So there's a book called Project 1065, a novel of World War II, and we named our team after it because it's Project 1065, so we decided to be Project Winners. And we went in there, and then they like gave us a schedule and what teams we were going to play against for like the first couple rounds, where you just like gained points, and then you wanted to have one of the most points because then you were like seeded the top 16, and those teams got to move on. And like we did pool play is what it's called until lunch, and then we got to meet an author, and his name was Alan Gratz.
Which he wrote Project 1065 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then did he see your shirts?
Yes, he did. And he was like, oh, you named him after my book. He was actually, I think he was really pleased.
Yep. And then what did he do later that day?
He actually, so he had donated some money and decided to like give it to us in the form of books. So every kid on the NOBOB team got one of his books, and then you got to go up to him and he would autograph it, and like you could take a picture with him. So our whole team kind of got in and got a picture.
And then he gave a speech.
Oh, that's right, he did. Yeah, he gave a speech to all the OBOB teams and parents and everything.
He answered questions, and I
Yeah.
think one of their favorite parts probably was the sign language interpreter.
Oh my goodness. He was like on the side, and like a lot of people noticed him because like he had to do sign language, but he was so animated in doing it. Like at one point when Alan Gratz was going like on about like all the books they had to write and everything, he was like this and just kept going. It was actually really
I
funny.
did look around. I think most kids in the auditorium, not just my kids, most kids were just eyes fixated on the
Yeah.
sign language interpreter. So
Yeah.
Yep. And then after that, we went and had our final battle. Yep. So,
Yeah.
It was really close.
Yeah,
we
it
lost
was.
by 8 points, I think.
which is how many questions?
One question and half a question.
Yes, and the half a question I would say wasn't even our fault because we said it correctly, but the lady interpreted it as like wrong. We pronounced it wrong, and then we got it.
And so that was a question that the other team stole some of our points.
Right.
Yes.
And
They
so,
stole 3 points. And so,
Yeah.
but it was close. And we were doing pretty good.
yeah, no, we did great.
We did really
We
good.
did great.
So yeah, so tell us how you did, Margaret.
So we, like I said, we went through the first 4 rounds and did great. The team that actually ended up getting second in state, we actually competed against at one point, and we tied with them. And so that made, I think, all of us feel really good about
Yeah.
that. And then another round, we actually got 100%, so we got 40 out of 40. And so that was really good too. And then the other 2 rounds, we did great as well. And so then that was in the morning, and then the next one, when we, the bracket play where we got out, we actually did very good. There was a few questions that as soon as because I've been also grilling them, so I know pretty much what they know. When they announced some of the questions, I immediately said, oh, we're not going to get that one. And they surprised me, and they knew the answer.
Wow.
But it's really cool because, like they said, you have 15 seconds, and there's 4 of them. So they're not sitting like this. They're kind of sitting in a circle. And so they ask the question, and immediately you see all 4 heads kind of go together. And, like, I was close enough that I could hear them and, like, see what they're whispering. And so sometimes it was really interesting to see one kid immediately go, it's this answer. And then the other 3, no, it's this one. And so they're really kind of, you got to plead your case in 15 seconds. If you know that answer, you have to try to convince the other 3 of why, right? Like it's really interesting. Or then sometimes all 4 heads come together and they say the same book at the same time, and then they pop up and say the answer. And so I was so tremendously proud of this group. It was amazing that we got as far as we did, and they did really, really well. Like I said, it was very hard questions. Like it could be, how many wooden planks were in, Brent Clapp Media's room,
Right.
And it's like, what?
How would we know that?
Yes.
Yeah, but that verbiage is somewhere in the book, though.
But very, very minute. It might say, the kid was sitting there and bored and counted all the planks, and there ended up being 13.
Yeah.
And then that's the only time it's ever mentioned. And, so, or what's the title of the 13th chapter in this book?
Oh, wow.
So it's really hard. And then there's questions like, who's the dedication of the book to? When you have to do 16 books, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very impressed, and I think everybody was really proud of themselves, and their parents were really supportive. And like I said, our principal immediately sent a text saying, "Hey, congratulations!" Mr. Mendoza yesterday came in and said, "Hey, congratulations!" And so I think that they did really, really well. And then afterwards, it was kind of like that sigh of relief of like, okay, you guys can stop reading. And on the way home yesterday, we stopped at Powell's Bookstore. Have you ever been there in Portland? And they've all bought books, and immediately they started reading. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You've just been reading for,
Right,
8 months or whatever. And they immediately started reading. And some of them, these 2 are 7th graders, so next year they'll be 8th grade. And they've already said, we're going to do it again next year. We're going to be on the team together, and let's start reading books. And so that's kind of fun and exciting to see their passion for that, to do it again next year.
That is so cool. So talk briefly about our regional area. What in Eastern Oregon, what other schools are doing this? And
So Embler is doing it, Union. Neither one of them came to regionals, but they were both signed up to go to regionals. Yeah, I don't think...
We played Union in the final battle.
Was that
Yeah,
Union?
that was easy.
We played Union and Baker and Hermiston and Columbia Vista and Armand.
And
Yeah.
Umatilla, a couple
And
teams in
Umatilla.
Umatilla.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
well, and the cool thing about this is that even a small school can compete.
Correct. Correct.
So it's like, with athletics, you're the more kids you have to choose from,
Yes.
then you're just advantaged.
Yep.
And this is way more about preparation,
Correct.
and dedication. Yeah.
Correct. And
Yeah.
what can you memorize, and what can
Right.
you,
Yeah.
and it really is dedication. They were
Yeah.
even listening to the audiobooks too,
Yeah.
and so it really was pretty amazing.
Wow.
And all of these girls are also in some of my other clubs, and so they're also in my regular book club that we meet. And so they're reading other books on top of just these books. In their advanced English classes, they're reading other books on top of these 16 books. And so it really is a ton of dedication. And it just has exceeded my expectations. Like, it's been really fun. So, yeah.
So before we quit, Annalise, tell me, what is your favorite topic of book? What's your favorite thing? It's like,
Genre?
Genre,
Oh,
thank
genre.
you, yeah.
Oh, okay. My favorite genre, I have a few. Like, if I was supposed to go on the books that we had for a genre, I would probably do fantasy. If just my favorite genre would probably be sci-fi and fiction.
Okay. All right. And Brooke, what's your favorite?
I really like historical fiction and fantasy and realistic fiction.
Oh,
So I really liked the Project 1065 book because it was historical fiction about the Holocaust, and it was pretty interesting.
What was your favorite book that you read?
Oh, probably The Swifts.
the what?
So, The Swifts, A Dictionary of Scoundrels. It was really good. It was this mystery about, like, a whole, like, family murder. It was so good.
And the Battle of the books, it's not just all
Yes.
one genre,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
And you kind of talk
Widely
about,
spread.
Yeah.
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 It's like, there were realistic fiction books. There was like a Hindu mythology book. There was a
Yeah.
fantasy
Is there any
book.
nonfiction?
There wasn't this year. I think next year
Next
there's
year.
one.
Next
Like-
They're not happy about that.
I don't understand like why there wouldn't be nonfiction.
Yeah.
It's real. Like,
Yep.
like
They are not very happy that there's a nonfiction book next year. It's about the Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa smile.
I like that's my genre.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to read something that's not real.
Yeah.
I just,
Yep. There was graphic novels.
Yeah, there were 2 graphic novels that were memoirs about the author.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Those
Yep.
are really good.
Yep.
So yeah, totally off topic, but I mean, have you read the Hail Mary book? It's the movie that's going crazy right
Project
now.
Hail Mary?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have not.
yeah.
I've not either.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, I saw the movie though, and it was fantastic.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if I can get into it.
yeah,
I watched the preview and I was like, there's a talking rock.
yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
It works. Trust me.
Does it?
Yeah, yeah. It really
Okay.
does. Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of videos coming out about Ryan
Gosling?
yeah, and him filming that role because there's a whole bunch of time it's just a monologue where he's talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyhow.
It's like Castaway.
Yeah.
Like he's just talking
yeah,
to himself,
it
right?
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But really good. Project Hail Mary, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. But anyhow, the point of that is that it came from a book, and so
Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyhow.
Yep.
Well, hey, thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And Margaret, thanks for
Yeah.
doing this. And yeah.
We'll have to come back and talk. These girls are in my writing club, and so we're meeting. They have pen pals that with senior citizens in the community, and so we'll have to come back and talk about that because before summer starts, because
Yeah.
we're actually meeting those people.
Oh.
They get to meet their pen pals in May, so that's also kind of a fun project that we're doing too.
Yeah, we'd
So,
love that.
yeah.
So,
Yep. Well,
All
thanks
right.
for having
Well,
us.
yeah,
and
thank
thank
you.
you once again to our sponsors and
Yeah.
for Rotary and you guys just having us, and so we can kind of spread more information about OBOB, and next year hopefully we get some more 6th graders coming up, and
yeah.
so.
Cool. Well, just stay right there. You
Sounds
want to get
good.
us out of here?
Let's do it. On this day, April 14th, 1828, Noah Webster registers the first copyright of the publication of the first American dictionary, titled An American Dictionary of the English Language. 1860, on this day, the first Pony Express rider arrives in San Francisco from St. Joseph, Missouri. 1912, on this day, RMS Titanic, the world's largest ocean liner, hits an iceberg at 11:40 p.m. off of Newfoundland and sinks in the early hours of April 15th. 2003, the Human Genome Project is completed with 99% of the human genome sequenced to an accuracy of 99.99%. 2021, on this day, the Coinbase becomes the first major cryptocurrency company to trade shares on the New York Stock Exchange. The #1 song in America on this day in 1986, Kiss by Prince and the Revolution. And the quote of the day comes from Frank Zappa. Stupidity has a certain charm. Ignorance does not. One more time. Stupidity has a certain charm. Ignorance does not.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies, for being with us. Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you guys for being with us. Union County Safe Coalition will be right here with us in the studio on Thursday. Glad you're here with us. Talk to you soon.